All right, welcome to another edition of Borderline with Bernie. I'm Jeff, and thanks as always for listening. Seriously, appreciate all of you guys who tune in each
Yeah.
and every week, whether you're an Eddie Grindersleeve who's driving to work and listening, or you're Jade and listening. And I don't think he listens. You know what? He might listen at work. I don't want to call him out, but he may listen at work. I don't know. But no, appreciate everyone who listens every week. Appreciate you guys. We definitely have fun doing the show. We've got a lot to talk about. My power rankings. I forgot to tell you, if you want to do power rankings, mine changed a little bit.
Mine did too.
From last week. So we'll do power rankings if you want, and another on, off, and in segment that's kind of interesting this week, and of course. Huge cornhole event in Texas this past weekend. First off, a couple of apologies. First off, I'm an idiot. I was looking back. Apologies to you and apologies to Caleb Batson. First off, I don't know how this happened, but doing my power rankings last week, I forgot to transfer Caleb Batson over to my list. So when I was going through my rankings this week, I was looking back on last week, like I normally do, see if there's anybody I want to shift around. I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, where did Caleb go? So Caleb, I don't know if you listen. Eddie, I know you listen. So if you can pass this along to your doubles partner, I'm sorry. I have no idea how I left Caleb off my list. He's definitely in my power rankings, definitely in my top 10, and oftentimes in my top 5. So my second apology before we get into cornhole stuff and all the other fun stuff. Sorry I didn't call you this weekend. I do feel bad. We were at a wedding in Wilmington, and dude, I truly am sorry I didn't call. It was crazy. We literally drove in, got in late Friday night, had a drink at the hotel bar, went to bed, woke up the next day. I realized it was a black tie event. I mean, with black tie events, fortunately, you don't necessarily have to have a tux. So I basically just kind of packed I do have a black suit and a white shirt, and I just packed like a silverish tie.
I gotta get a black suit, man.
Yeah, it's like kind of a silverish tie. So I'm like, oh no, that'll be good enough. And then I start talking to people who are like, I'm like, are you wearing a black tie? Yeah, I got a black tie. Yeah, everyone had a black tie. So I'm like, well, crap. So all of a sudden I went on a mission to find a black tie. Shout out to Bloke. No one's going to know what this is. Bloke, downtown Wilmington. Literally, I walked in. You know how awesome downtown Wilmington is. All of these just like eclectic, shops and everything. So they have this little men's store. I literally walk in. They have one black tie. I'm like, nice. I'll take it. So I had my black tie. Anyway, so we were scrambling for ties. We did go to Dixie's for breakfast. That was fun.
And cool, man. No big deal.
Getting ready, and then off to the wedding, and the wedding went until like 10 o'clock at night, and then we left the next day. So I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to I did call you when I got home and say, hey, I was just in Wilmington. Sorry, I missed you.
But, I'm sure if I would have been other people, you'd have called. But I get it. It's understandable.
So,
by the way,
sorry to Caleb and sorry to you this weekend.
Yeah, shout out Corey Russell. Corey, let me know. Apparently, my microphone wasn't working very well last week.
Oh, I didn't notice.
I didn't notice it either, but he said it sounded like it was picking it up on the computer, not the actual microphone that's here in front of my face. So hopefully this is better. I checked, all through my settings, so this should be on this microphone. So if it still sounds bad, Corey, let me know. But thanks for the shout out. I mean, hey, another listener.
There you go. Yes, love it. Right? Yeah. Thanks, Corey, for listening. Yeah, that's one of the unfortunate things about doing this show remotely, as most podcasts are done remotely. But sometimes if you have audio issues, like there's been a few times, like you and I noticed before we went on today, where for some reason our Wi-Fi signal wasn't great, but it still when we're recording it live into the platform, it still sounds good and it still looks good.
Right.
But for some reason, when it comes through, on I don't know, for some reason it seems good on the platform to us live, but then we'll play it back and we'll see some kind of glitchy stuff. So because to me I thought your microphone was fine.
That's weird. He also has a very, very good ear, so maybe it just sounded bad. Maybe I had it too far away from my face.
Yeah, he is good. He's got an eye and an ear for that stuff for sure. Yeah, I mean, he could truly get into like production someday if he wanted to, like big boy TV stuff.
I agree. And I mean, I know what he's enjoying what he's doing, and he loves the community and the culture of cornhole and loves being a part of it. But kid's got a future if he wants it.
Yeah.
It seems like to me. I mean, it's just hard. It's like any other job. It's kind of hard to get through the door sometimes. So.
Oh yeah, but he's got an in. By the way, for those of you, Jade and others, Corey's MVP behind the scenes for all of our live streaming.
Yeah.
And it sounds like he may be, and you know what, he may at this point, if he went to a network, he might take a pay cut, because it sounds like with our increased ESPN Plus programming,
Yes.
that there's gonna have to be somebody who's producing all that stuff. So who knows? Maybe he's
Should be
better off.
interesting. He's so good. I mean, he really is good, and he knows the sport, because he's also, I mean, obviously don't need to go down this road, but Corey has done play-by-play and has taught, he has done the streaming of the games, of the live games himself online. So he has that knowledge. A lot of times the production guys, they know the production side of it. They don't really care or know as much about the sport they're a part of, right? But Corey has good knowledge of the sport as well. So that helps, I think.
For sure. All right, so power rankings coming up, on, off, and in coming up. Texas. I just want we don't normally spend a whole lot of time diving into all the X's and O's of opens, and all the results and everything, but I feel like there's been a couple notable ones lately, and especially last week. I mean, for those of you who follow the sport or listen to the show, we talk about it all the time. There are some real hot spots across the country of, just high level players.
Yeah.
I mean, it's coming everywhere. We know this. I mean, I love the stat that we opened up a broadcast with. I think in California last week, they found metrics that, 50 million or 55 million people across the country now are now playing cornhole. So I mean, the sport's coming, but there are identifiable hot spots across the country where it is just, incredible talent. Texas, Florida, the Chicago area, the Great Lakes region. I mean, I shouldn't start. I'm going to make people angry if I start mentioning them. But
leaving out the Carolinas, man.
Yeah, the Carolinas are really good. California is coming. Arizona, they've got some really good players that are coming. I'm sure if we had Anthony Ione, he could probably say, hey, the growth in Colorado, in the mountain region.
Ohio, Kentucky area is kind of the old school, like original area, right? So
yeah,
they always get mad if you talk about somewhere else.
Yeah, that's the thing. I shouldn't start, but you know what I mean. And Texas, I think everyone would agree Texas is a real hot spot.
Absolutely.
Of cornhole. So there was an open there filled with all the Texas players, and man, shout out to Logan Chamberlain. Logan is a player, for those of you who don't know. We've talked about it on the show. He's one of those guys I like to watch play. I've talked about this many times. There are certain players I follow: Tony Smith, Jamie Graham, Justin Burton Jr., who is Logan's doubles partner, Caleb Batson. So a few guys from Texas. Jake Gore. I love watching Jake play. He's just dynamic. I love his energy on the court. So I mean, there's just certain people, several that I enjoy following. Logan is one of those guys. He's just a competitor. I like watching him play. He has been a really good doubles player. He just has not had the proven success yet on the singles side. So what does he do? And one of probably I don't want to say the most stacked, because as far as number of players, I'm not sure it had the highest number of players, but really good talent. And Logan wins it on the singles side. So man, I texted him and was so happy for him. So congratulations, Logan, picking up what I think is a huge singles win. I'm sure you probably would agree. And I'm sure the first of many, and this has to be a huge boost for him. So, I mean, definitely not just a doubles player now. Incredible.
Yeah, big win. Logan, we do our top 10 list. You look at, the rankings at the end of the last couple of seasons and where people, reside there. And Logan's always kind of been right on the outside of that. And everyone's talked about JBJ because last year when JBJ had the double, right, won our first national in singles and doubles with Logan, but he won the singles. Logan's kind of been the other guy, if you can be the other guy and be a top 20 player. But now I think, I don't know as much about JBJ this season, where Logan's kind of putting his name out there. Look, I think Logan, to me, is very reminiscent of an Adam Hissner in that they don't play the same game, but they are two of the louder players on the court is the best way to put it. They will talk. They will try to get in your head as an opponent. They will get a little chirpy with you. And I think sometimes, just like Adam, they can start to worry about that too much more than their game. But when they worry about their game, they can win. And they both proven that already this season. I think Logan is a magnificent talent, actually. I think
I agree.
I don't know. Like, if I think about the two of them, he and JBJ, I don't know who has more upside now that I think about it. Like, I think last year everyone would have said, well, Justin Burton Jr.'s got more of the upside, maybe. I don't know now. I don't know. I mean, Logan's just maybe it's because we see more of it. We see more of that fire. We see more of the competitiveness. We hear more of it. Justin's kind of reserved, right? He's keeping it, close to the, inside the vest, close to the vest, as they say. I mean, you're not going to see as much from him. Whereas Logan, how he feels, right? Whether it's good, bad, indifferent, how he feels. And maybe that's why someone like me, for example, is more kind of attracted to that as a player. And maybe that's why I see more upside. I don't know. But I'm all in on Logan Chamberlain.
Yeah, I have. I think I've been. I mean, I think this is kind of a preemptive in the whole. Don't you feel like I've been on kind of Logan Chamberlain's bandwagon for a while?
Sure.
I mean, I feel like I've talked about him on the broadcast and on the podcast and behind the scenes, and I think that I've been on this guy probably since I saw him in college. There was just something about his style of play that I thought was going to be compatible at a high level. We've talked about this before, and we'll touch on it here a little bit in this show about certain players that we are kind of concerned with as far as the trajectory of the sport goes. He's not one of them. I would not put him on a list of my concern. Matter of fact, I think he has the potential to be a really high level player. But the question is he good enough yet to make your power rankings here this week?
Interesting.
So,
foreshadowing.
Teaser for later.
Ding ding. Yep.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe I write that down. No, we'll see. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. All right. So congratulations to Logan. Huge win. So many notable names and performances this weekend. You and I have talked about this. How about Sammy Soto? All of a sudden, Sammy Soto, young player. I've mentioned this before on this show. I feel like Sammy Soto was all anyone was talking about for a while. And I feel like that might have been a lot of pressure for him. I'd love to have this conversation with him to find out if it's true, but I feel like that might have come, those expectations, just like in any sport, right? I feel like that might have come with a little bit of pressure. And we have not talked about his name. We've talked about a lot of rookies, so far this season. We have not really mentioned his name a whole lot. But he gets a huge he didn't win it, obviously, lost to Logan, but finished second overall, and then won it on the double side with Jackson Gore, which is another storyline. But hey, congratulations to Sammy. I mean, maybe this is the start for him of shrugging those the pressure and the expectations and making a run.
Yeah, I think that me and a few others had him as our preseason rookie of the year. Then Ryan Trader comes out, does what he's doing. Jeremiah Ellis doing what he's doing. I think Sammy was kind of taking a back seat as far as the rookie class goes. With some of the results that those guys have had. Just kind of reminding everybody he can still play pretty well too. I mean, Sammy's.
Yeah.
I'm with you though. I felt like I don't know if he's playing the same amount as everyone else, but I don't know. I haven't really looked at his number of competitive rounds compared to some of those other guys, at least in ACL events. So it's nice to see him there. And it's funny. I think that Logan, and with all the Texas guys, I think there's certain guys that have an advantage. Like I think. Logan's one of the guys that was chirping about Sammy Soto. Like, here's this other guy. You got to see him play. He's really this good. He's going to be great. And I wonder if sometimes a Sammy Soto looks up to a guy like that, and it's harder to beat that guy. One of the players you're looking up to in your area. Is it harder? Even though is it harder to beat that person because you have a certain reverence for them? I always find that interesting because I think a lot of, like, for example, a lot of the older Ohio, Northern Kentucky players. Had a certain reverence for Matt Guy for so long, right? Like, and I think, Matt had 5 points off the bat on a lot of players. back in the day in that region because they looked up to him so much. And I'm wondering if guys, I mean, God, they're so young to even say that kind of thing. But, I wonder if like a Sammy Soto has that same kind of reverence for Logan and JBJ and some other Texas guys.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so much of it is mental, right? We've talked about this on this podcast so much. I mean, this is where cornhole is so similar to like golf, right? I mean, we've compared it to other sports.
Yeah.
You're just out there, you're on your own, and you are alone with your thoughts. And so, yeah, I mean, I think you could be right on the money. I mean, all that matters when you're out there. One more quick note on that same team. So Jackson Gore played with Sammy Soto. They won the doubles down in the Texas Open. You and I were just talking. Where are the Gores? So I literally texted him last week and texted Jack. I'm like, hey, are you and Jake? Were you in Ohio? And I think it was the last couple events they just couldn't travel to, and I get it. But he told me, hey, we'll be in Texas. And wow, both of them, not just Jake, but Jack shows up as well. So big weekend for the Gore kids out in Texas.
Talk about expectations, man. Imagine having those expectations. What are they, 14? Are they 15 yet? I mean, and to
15 yet,
and to be kind of old heads in a way. I mean, and to have the level of seriously, the level of expectation that's been dumped upon them at the ages of 13 and 14. That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Well, and I think they put a lot of pressure on themselves too, because they take. I mean, they are homeschooled, and they do that for a reason, right? I mean, they do that so they can spend time being professional players. So with that, they are putting expectations on themselves, maybe even more so than we are. And but anyway, they've got to be thrilled with their finish
crazy.
out in Texas.
I can't imagine. And maybe the beauty of it is being that age, right? Like you put that kind of expectation on a 22, 23, 24-year-old, it gets in their head. They think about it a lot. You're 13, 14, you're playing video games at night. You're like, you know what I mean? Like you don't even, those expectations don't sink in, right? Like it's just, whatever, I'm good. No big deal. And now they can all play video games together the way the world works, right? They can all get online together and do all that. Like maybe it just doesn't affect them the same way it would like our generation at that age, right?
I know. I think about that, like just watching college sports and just broadcasting college football and college basketball. The mentality that we had at that age, you and I now up into our 50s, the mentality that we had back in our 20s, it's just totally different, right? Just fearless. Like they don't worry about injuries. They don't worry as much about wins and losses. They just really enjoy going out and playing. Like really for us, we wanted to play. For me, when I was back in high school, I was a decent athlete. I wasn't good enough to start. I would have given a leg to be able to start. Win, lose or draw. I mean, I just wanted to start. I just wanted to play. And I think sometimes we kind of forget that they just have that youthful energy to just want to play and just play all the time.
I wish I would have had that.
You didn't honestly have
that? Just the wanting to play. I mean, I did start. And I think I felt a lot of expectation, and all internal, by the way. I wasn't that great of a player. Right?
Shocking just about you.
All internal, all just inside my own head, just kind of ruling it instead of just, man, I love doing that, right? You know what I mean? Like I envy those kids that they have that, because I was always so inside my own head, and instead of just being like, man, I love to play, I love this. This is so much fun, and I get to do it in front of my friends and like that would have been such a better way to look at it than, man, I'm screwing up. Oh my God, I suck. I'm the worst. I can't believe I'm doing it. You know what I mean? Like it's amazing to watch these kids just kind of, I wouldn't say they don't care, but it certainly doesn't bother them at all.
Yeah. Like with Ryan Schrader, we've mentioned this before. It looks like nothing bothers this kid, right? Nothing.
He's having fun, man. And that's what I'm talking about.
They're just motoring through the field. Yep.
Yeah, and we'll see tonight. Like, I don't know what video games they actually play, but a lot of them play against each other, right? And they're all online doing all that stuff. Like, I'll see you tonight on whatever. It's like they don't care. Lose in a bracket final, in a 70 round or whatever, like some 45 round game. I would have been crestfallen, alone in a corner somewhere crying. Whatever.
By the way, this is the least shocking conversation I've ever had with you, because you still have the same mentality when we go play golf.
Oh,
and I've joked about it before. You think that you're Tiger Woods when you
it's
go out
not
on
that.
the course.
No,
it is that.
I also think, well, I'm better than I play. But no, there are certain, as I've gotten older, there are certain places that I allow myself to vent. And unfortunately, because it shouldn't be one, the golf course is one of them. And that's why no one wants to play with me, right? I'm like, like when you go online and you look like the worst golfer to play with, like I fit like all those categories.
No, you vent in many ways.
Yeah, I vent. I don't vent on people though. So way to go, everybody. You're lucky.
Verbally and physically, you vent in certain ways.
I can't believe I have clubs. Yeah, yeah. It comes out. It'll come out. Yeah. I can't wait. Now I watch that tournament every year. I don't even think I used to watch that tournament. Now I have to watch when everyone's on 16. Like, yeah, see that rock?
Yeah, we got to see where you left your cookies on. Is it 16? Was it number 16?
16. Oh yeah. Right there on that tee box.
Beautiful, picturesque,
gorgeous,
scenic hole with the beautiful rocks right there by the tee
box. Yeah, right on those rocks.
Stained forever.
Stained. Some poor bastard was out there with bleach for like an hours trying to get that off, probably.
Scrubbing the rock. Yeah, you lost it. Oh man. All right, we got to keep moving. But again, power rankings and on-off and in coming up. All right, one more thing before we start getting to that stuff. And this is just something I saw this week. I'm a baseball guy, so the Baseball Hall of Fame had their voting returned this week. So 3 new members into the Baseball Hall of Fame: Adrian Beltre, Todd Helton, and Joe Mauer.
We're so old.
I know. Like I remember Joe Mauer. I was actually broadcasting AAA baseball when Joe Mauer came through the Rochester Red Wings. So I remember.
We were older guys when they got to the league. Now they're in the Hall of Fame. Like
now they're going to the Hall of Fame. Yeah. But by the way, I don't know what your thoughts. You and I have never talked about this. I'm not sure what your thoughts are on this, but noticeably absent and not even close to getting the number of votes to be in the Hall of Fame. A-Rod and Andy Pettitte. I'm sure with both, got to be steroids with both, right? Was
Pettitte involved in that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, then it's got to be.
Yeah, we know it is with A-Rod. Andy Pettitte's got to be the same way. I mean, Andy had a terrific career, won World Series.
I didn't know that Andy was as involved in the steroid scandal as everyone else. I mean, obviously, Barry Bonds and A-Rod were like, what sucks for me for them is they were going to be Hall of Famers before they started juicing and everything else. I mean, you could see who they were as players. I mean, you could see before they got so big and their heads grew like 5 sizes. I mean, literally, like they were going to the Hall of Fame. I mean, Barry Bonds was going to be a first ballot guy well before he started taking steroids.
Skinny little guy, but yeah, he was
still hitting 30 to 40. He was still hitting 30 to 40 home runs, but it just he was going to be that guy, and then. Way to go. A-Rod, same way. You remember a young A-Rod, how thin he was?
Yeah.
When he came up playing shortstop with the Mariners. I mean, he was thin.
Yeah. Alongside Ken Griffey. Yeah. He was a kid when Ken Griffey Jr. was
yeah. He was the, like they used to say back then, he was Derek Jeter, but with more talent, right? He was quicker, had a better arm, was a better hitter. Like he was everything better, just wasn't the winner, right? And you could say that he didn't have the stuff around him, but he was statistically a much better player
and more natural talent. I mean, Derek, I don't think people realize this. Again, back in my minor league days, my first job was at the Greensboro Bats, which was the Yankees farm team, and I wasn't there when Derek Jeter was, but he was there a couple years before I was, and I heard stories about him having to work his ass off to be a good player. Like he literally was the guy who was out there in the batting cages, hitting off the tee up against the backstop for hours trying to work on his swing. And same thing, if he had a bad game, he'd stick around afterwards too. I mean, he was one of those guys who had to work for everything that he got. So yeah, A-Rod probably a lot more natural talent.
He was a freak. He's a freak.
But so I bring that up. You and I were talking about this before we came on. So I bring that up. If cornhole were to have a Hall of Fame, and again, this is an interest. You and I were talking about this, so there might be some schematics. I don't know how in the weeds we get with this, because if you had a cornhole Hall of Fame right now, would we just do like an NFL Hall of Fame? Would it just be an ACL Hall of Fame, or would we have to have? Would it be an just a generic cornhole Hall of Fame?
Right.
And at this point, would you put anybody in it? I mean, think about it. There are players, there are executives. So at this point, are you putting anybody in the Hall of Fame automatically right now, or is it too soon?
I think for me, because I only really know the sport from an ACL perspective. I mean, I was aware of certain players before that. I mean, obviously, I think the one player, first name on the Mount Rushmore of cornhole would be Matt Guy. I think everyone would agree Matt Guy would be first ballot, first name, right? After that, I think then you get into the minutia of, do all the leagues count? Is it just a generic cornhole Hall of Fame? Is the sport at this level of professionalism with the depth of talent that exists now, is the sport too young to have a Hall of Fame? Mm-hmm. You know, like you were just talking about baseball. If you look at baseball's first Hall of Fame class, Babe Ruth was in that class. And that's what, 30, 40, 50 years after baseball had kind of started as a professional sport, that they had a Hall of Fame. Same with football. So, I mean, I don't know if we're old enough as a sport to have that yet. But if we're in the conversation, I think one of the names that everyone would agree on would be Matt Guy, would be the first person.
I would love to be able to somehow quantify the number of wins he's had. He and I got into a conversation about it at one point. I mean, literally, dude has thousands of wins. You know, we talk about him being the all-time career winner in the ACL with 20 career titles and 11-time national winner, which is huge. But if you take all the open, well, I don't know what you'd call them, you know, local, regional, open wins that he's had throughout all the leagues. I mean, literally thousands of wins that he's had. I wish there was some way to quantify that. But yeah, he's got to be in at some point. And I think you're right.
I think he's the first name in. I think he's the first name in. And then after that, I think it becomes an argument of, you know, do some of these other players that we never got to see count? I mean, there's players that Matt played with and against going back in those days that we never saw. I'm sure some of the old cornhole heads listening or watching would be like, well, what about so-and-so and so-and-so that played back in, you know, the day? I mean, I would think, you know, conversations about players like Damon Dennis. I mean, I think Alan Rockwell, for what he meant to the sport, would be a name.
Yeah, a good player, and obviously a huge ambassador to the sport. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's such a tough question, and I don't think I'm well versed enough. You know who would be great at this would be Kennedy Halbert, because she's been around it for so long, even though she's still so young.
I just thought it'd be interesting. I didn't mean to put you on the spot with it.
I think it is an interesting conversation
because I feel like I'm in. You know, I'm probably out of this conversation. I mean, Matt Guy is the first name that comes to mind, but you know, I feel like I'm so part of the modern era. Yeah. You know, doing this for 5 years now, so I think there's a lot of names from the past. Does Jamie
Graham qualify? I mean, I think he would. I think most people would say from a.
I mean, he's the only 2-time singles world champion, so I think he's. You would think that
he's still so young, but he's still so young, and he wasn't around. You know, like, once again, the sport is so young. You know, where is it going to be 10, 15, 20 years from now? And then, you know, you start having Hall of Fame discussions, and I don't know, but I think my opinion, it's too soon. However, I think everyone would agree Matt Guy is the first person in.
Yeah. So, you know, the other thing is, you know, there's several different types of Hall of Famers as well. I mean, you've got writers and broadcasters, obviously, that are in there, but the big one is executives. And, you know, at some point, obviously, Stacy's name has got to be in there for going into a Cornhole Hall of Fame for everything that he's done. And then what about bag manufacturers? You know, who were the ones that have been doing this from the beginning, who have helped? You know, would a bag manufacturer at some point have to go in just for what they've done for the sport? I don't know. It's kind of an interesting conversation, and I think open for several, not just players.
Like is Spalding in the Baseball Hall of Fame? The Spalding guy, but he was also because I mean, you know.
Yeah,
or as a manufacturer,
baseball. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Are any of those people in? I don't know if they are.
But it'd be fun to have. It'd be fun to have like a history wing also. Like my neighbor. I mean, I can see her house right here. My neighbor was, for all I know, one of the first to ever make cornhole bags. by stitching them. I mean, this goes back to like the 60s when she was putting on cornhole tournaments here on James Island, and she literally would buy corn. She would have some cloth and stitch the corn inside this cloth so that they could play cornhole at the county fair. And then the bags kept breaking. So then she found if I could wrap the bags, put them into like a baggie, right? Put the corn kernels into a baggie and then stitch it up, that just in case one of the stitches came out, all the corn wouldn't come out. I mean,
Right.
I mean, this is back in the 60s, is there a history wing where there's stories like that can be told? I don't know. I think
For sure.
At some point it's going to be there. Like you said, is it too soon? Maybe so. It got me thinking about it though.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation. I think some of the older guys would have I think if you sat down with a Matt Guy and a Damon Dennis and started talking about it, right? I think you'd have a completely different conversation, and the names that would come up would be so different, right?
Yeah.
But it's an interesting conversation. I hope people actually watch or listen to this, and so it sparks some conversation, right? I mean, it would be great to hear from everyone. Like, who's give us, what would be a good size class for the first size class? 5 players, 5 people, that you would put in your first class, and who would they be?
Do you have voters? I mean,
right?
Do people like you, me, Trey, Anthony, Mish? I mean, are there certain people? Do you have writers? Do you have, just like it's the writers who basically vote these guys in for baseball.
Right.
Do writers, do broadcasters, do executives? Like, who gets to vote?
Is there
a voting committee?
Yeah, it would have to be, right?
Yeah.
That's how you create the classes. I don't know. That would be a lot of fun.
Someday.
Yeah.
Someday. Speaking of someday, just one more thing real quick. And I'm late to the party on this, so if you want to laugh at me, go ahead. Did you see the new sports that are going to be in the Olympics coming up in 2024?
Remind me. I mean, I did. It's been
break dancing.
Oh yeah.
And skateboarding.
Yep.
Like, okay.
I'm surprised skateboarding hasn't been in. To be honest,
with all due respect, I mean, a ton of talent. I get it. We got to get in. Cornhole's got to get in.
I think if breakdancing is in, we should be in. Skateboarding, I get it, because you look at the international appeal of skateboarding. I mean, you look at the X Games and just see the different countries involved with that, and that's been going on for decades. The fact that that's I mean, like, you've got snowboarding has been in the Olympics now for a while. I can't believe skateboarding hasn't been in, or surfing for that matter.
I think surfing's coming too.
I mean, those are international games, or sports. I'm surprised they haven't had their day in the sun yet.
Yeah, and what was the one? Actually, I don't think you got there in time. You didn't get there. No, you didn't get there in time for the SoFi tour when we were out in Los Angeles.
No.
Across from SoFi Stadium is this huge pond/lake where they also use it as a practice facility for some sort of water archery thing, which is supposed to become an Olympic sport. So I'm like, okay. As soon as we heard that story, Stacy and I looked at each other. We're like, "What?
Come on now, right?
Cornhole has got to be in.
To be.
We need to get this done." Yeah,
and it just speaks once again to the perception of our sport. I mean, I don't know, man. That's kind of upsetting.
Yeah, no drinking allowed for the Olympics. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be a no-no.
There's certain things that are holding, and I'm not sure what they are, to be honest. Maybe it's us.
The show specifically.
BoarderLine's holding the whole thing back.
Look at these idiots they have talking about the sport, and they want to be in the Olympics. No way.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we ready for power rankings and on, off, and in?
God, I struggled with on, off, and in again. And guess what I struggled with? In the hole.
And I did too this week, and then all of a sudden I remembered a story popped up on ESPN, and it made me think of something that I was in the hole about, I think.
Yeah.
All right, power rankings first.
Sure.
And I'm just going to apologize right now because what I've decided to do with my power rankings is, in college basketball, and this is the reason I saw it. I was going through the rankings of college basketball. By the way, your Tar Heels are freaking killing it right now.
Looking pretty good right now.
Yeah,
looking pretty good.
So the others receiving votes category, like you see the list, right? 1 through 25. And then the others receiving votes category is like this big. So I'm not going to apologize anymore because my others receiving votes category is fairly large this week, but I'm not going to apologize for it because in college basketball, there's like an additional 25 teams down there.
You know what I love about that? I mean, here we go, tangent for me. When you get to the end of the season, that's like 3 teams. At this point in the season, it's like 20 teams and the others receiving votes. You get to the last couple of weeks before March Madness, and there's like 3 on there. Like they don't even mess around with it anymore. It's like, we're not concerned with it.
Throwing Virginia.
By the way, I'm not even doing others receiving votes. I've like my top 10 is like a top 15.
No, now that's just flat out cheating.
It is cheating.
Although that being said, I do have 2 ties this week in my top 10. So technically, I guess I have what 12 in mine. All right, you want me to go first?
Sure.
All right, number 10 stays the same. Jamie Graham, Ryan Windsor, tied for 10. There we go. Right off the bat, throw it in a cheat card. Number 9, still got to keep him in there. I mean, Jack is coming. Jack Gore is coming, and he really seems like he's on a mission. And I'm super happy for him because it seems like he's getting it done. We talked about this earlier on the mental side as much on the physical side. We already knew he was a great physical player. So Jack's coming, but Jake, I got to keep Jake in my top 10 after a really good performance this weekend in Texas. So Jake Gore, number 9, number 8, tie again. I'm doing Jeremiah Ellis and Jaden Ellis at number 8. Number 7, Caden Allen. Number 6, Ryan Schrader. And then my top 5 gets shaken up a little bit because, again, I'm sorry, Caleb. Somehow, I don't know how I left him out of my power rankings last week. Idiot. So I am going to ding Caleb a little bit. Caleb and Eddie actually did not finish real well in Texas. I was surprised by that. I mean, again, huge talent in there. But anyway, so I've got Caleb, number 5. Again, sorry, Caleb, you're back into this week. Number 4, Fisher Hamilton had a tough loss to Gavin Cano, but I still think that Fisher has got to be up there. I still think he's a great player. I mean, dangerous player.
Yeah.
And then number 3, so Fisher number 4, Gavin Cano number 3, and I'm still doing Tony at number 1 and Mark Richards at number 2. Just after what we saw a couple of weeks ago, I feel like those two are like almost like 1 and 1A, right? Yep. And I had Mark Richards number 1 for the longest time. I just recently flip-flopped those to put Tony just slightly ahead of Mark. So that's my top 10. Now well, here, why don't you do your top 10, and then so I'm not like just rambling on. After your top 10, I'll do my others receiving votes because that's another whole category.
All right, number 10, I let him back in. I just think the sheer talent alone, I have to have him in. I don't know if the results, especially on the single side, warrant him being in yet, but just talent alone, he has to be in the top 10. Devin Harbaugh, number 10 for me. Number 9, a tie. Shocking. Here's where I start cheating on you a little bit. Number 9, I've got Jake Gore and Caleb Batson tied at number 9. I haven't. I've a couple of players, for whatever reason, I've been kind of leaving off, just forgetfulness, really. And there's only 10 spots. That's why I'm kind of cheating. It's just super hard with the depth of talent to find 10 and say these are my 10. So Jake Gore,
it's basically Batson. Like we've talked about. I mean, if we had to pick 10 right now to go to war with,
right?
Like today, who you pick?
And and it's tough for me because I use number 8 as kind of a fun number, and it could be anyone at any given time. So in a way, I'm taking one of my spots out. You know what I mean? Like it's not really in there. But my number 8 is a 3-way tie.
Oh,
how about that? A 3-way tie, and it's just because of the tournaments this past weekend in Texas.
That's excessive.
Logan Chamberlain, Sammy Soto, and I got Justin Burton Jr. in there because he also won a tournament this past weekend, even though it wasn't affiliated with us. And I'm curious about his game, but I've got him in there because of the win, and I still think the talent's there. So I've got a 3-way Texas tie. And at number 8, Logan, Sammy, and JBJ. Number 7, Ryan Windsor. I think I talked about it before. I think he's kind of found his way back amongst the elite of the elite. Number 6, I have Fisher Hamilton. I'm kind of with you. I think I want to see more out of Fisher. I think he's almost gotten to
he's dangerous.
He's gotten to a point where his talent is so prodigious that I think he's kind of waiting. I think he's another one of those players that the Opens, while he wants to win every match he plays, I don't think they carry the significance yet for him to get completely dialed in. I hope that's the case because completely dialed in. I think he's a top 5 player. But for right now, I've got him number 6. Number 5, Jeremiah Ellis. He may not have the wins yet, but he's been unreal in the Open Series.
Wow.
Yeah, he's been winning brackets and in Final Fours of almost every Open he's been in.
Yeah,
and so
I said last week. I mean, I talked to Wally a couple times about it. Wally loves that guy. So.
Yeah, he's an amazing talent. Gavin Cano up to number 4. I think I've been shortchanging Gavin. Not really sure why. It's not personal. I don't know why. I think it's another player like he and Caleb. For some reason, I just haven't been paying attention to enough. But I've got Gavin Cano, number 4. I've got Ryan Trader, number 3. Once again, I don't think anyone's had a better Open Series. I don't think anyone has to this point if you look at the statistics and you look at the wins and losses. And then number 2 and number 1, there they are, Tony Smith, Mark Richards. Round out my top 10.
So you're still keeping Mark at number 1. Gotcha.
Still keep. I just think if you said, all right, we're all doing best of 7s with the top 20 players in the world, I still think Mark comes out on top.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and the reason I dropped Mark last week was, and I mentioned this last week, but if anyone missed it, it was just the losses that he had to Landon Bass and Jeremiah Ellis. I just thought those were kind of bad losses. Meanwhile, Tony had to go through.
I just don't think the loss to Jeremiah Ellis is a bad loss. I mean, the guy's insane.
Yeah.
Now the other one.
No. What I mean bad. No. Sorry. Let me clarify. When I mean bad loss, I mean performance-wise. No.
Yeah.
To lose to Jeremiah Ellis is not a bad loss, but he lost big. I mean, those were a couple of huge knockout losses. So that's why I just put Tony slightly ahead. By the way, speaking of Ryan Trader, I don't know if I said I do have him in there at number 6. I might have skipped over him, but just in case.
I think you skipped over him completely. I think you completely left him off your list. I wasn't going to say anything. I was just going to.
I got Jamie and Ryan at 10, Jake 9, Jaden and Jeremiah at 8, Caden at 7. Yeah, Ryan Trader at 6.
Okay.
Caleb, Fisher, Gavin, Mark, and Tony.
I got you.
All right, so real quick before we get it to wrap up the show with on, off, and in, just some shout outs to some players. Again, others receiving votes as a long list. Logan Chamberlain, again. I mean, he's just right there. I mean, could I put him in there? Yeah. For some reason, maybe I just want to see one more singles. You know, one more push out of singles. But Logan, you know I love you and love watching him play. Jack is coming. He's got to be on the outside looking in. I mentioned this last week. Joe Neested, Nico Morales, those guys are coming. Braden Wilson. Braden had big wins this weekend. So he's kind of knocking on the door right now, in my opinion. Braden beat Fisher and Alex Hicks in the losers bracket. Had a tough loss in the winners bracket. Had a battle back. Devin Harbaugh, Alec Ryan, Ryan Hart. I'm kind of keeping on the outside looking in. Sammy Soto, putting him kind of on that outside looking in. So there's just a few of the others receiving votes.
Yeah. Nice.
All right, ready to go wrap things up here?
Just a few. Was that another 10 that you just had right there?
I think so, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It might have been 12. Again, I'm not going to apologize for it anymore. They can do it in college. If the AP can do it, then we can do it on our silly little show.
Amen.
All right. Let's wrap things up. On, off, and in. Again, America's favorite
segment.
Yeah.
So, you want me to start on this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
On the board, Barbie movie. I told you it was a great movie, nominated for an Academy Award for Best Picture. However, I thought the deepest irony of all of it, a movie kind of making fun of the patriarchal system we have in the United States, the actor, Margot Robbie, Best Actress, didn't get nominated. Director, Greta Gerwig, did not get nominated.
I saw that.
Ryan Gosling, playing Ken, got nominated. I think that's so funny. That's hysterical. Anyway, off the board, I haven't, it's funny, Lamar Jackson, quarterback of the Ravens, insane talent from a physical gift perspective. I thought that maybe NFL defensive coordinators had kind of caught up to him and found a way to limit him and to limit his success, which therefore limits the Baltimore Ravens' success. Off the board, wrong. They find a way. The kid has developed more and more of his game. I was just off the board, wrong. I thought the Ravens were going to kind of descend into this kind of mediocre maybe make the playoffs, maybe not make the playoffs season after season. I think this season especially, they proved me wrong, so I was way off the board there. And my in the hole, we talked about it when we first started doing the show a couple times. I am not a good salesperson. In the hole. I'm just not.
What happened?
No, it's just like there's certain kind of sales that I think I would be good in. I think, if you're a manufacturer's rep where, like, let's say they've got to buy this particular product, a company, right? And you and 3 or 4 other people are selling that product. I think I'm good at establishing a rapport with people, blah, blah, blah. Then that's why they buy, because they have to buy it anyway, right? It's just, are they buying it from you or someone else? I think I'd be good in that situation. Turning no's into yeses, not that guy. I'm just not
Did you get rejected this week?
I always get rejected, but I mean, it's just I'm not that guy, right? Like, you tell me twice that you don't want to give me cool. I hear you, man.
I've got great stories about. I've probably told some of them. Yeah, I've got great stories of.
I'm just not a grinder.
It takes a lot of confidence too, man.
Yeah, and I'm not that guy. But that's my in the hole.
Lamar Jackson. I like that. That's a good one. Amazing what a new contract does, right? You can't tell me that the contract negotiations and lack thereof last year did not have
100%
an effect on him. And maybe they made the injuries linger a little bit more just because he didn't want to get hurt. He knew he had a new big contract coming. Hey, I ain't mad at you. That'd be tough. But yeah, new contract, new man. He's been terrific. All right, so real quick, mine on, off, and in, on the board, off the board, in the hole. Let's see here. We got like a minute and a half. So real quick, on the board. This is kind of generic, but I think the run of rookies, I've been talking about this for a while, and I mentioned it on Around the ACL and probably ACL Live. Stephen Burns said a few years ago, Mark Richards, we know what he did, JBJ. It's coming again this year. I've been talking about it for a while. And again, not surprising new, but or surprising hot take here, but the rookies are coming again this year. And it could be even someone even younger. It could be one of the really like teenage kids that we talk about that win a national. But yeah, a rookie or one of these young teenagers is gonna win one of the nationals. Off the board, the outdoor wedding last weekend in Wilmington. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, this is an outdoor way. Really? We're going to keep it outside. It was 36 degrees Saturday afternoon in Wilmington, as you well know. You live there. Yeah. And here we are. And I said to Kathy, I'm like, well, do you think I need to bring my coat? She's like, well, yeah, it's still outside. I'm like, whoa. Wait a second. They didn't have a B plan and move this thing? And no, they're keeping it outside with the sleeveless dresses and everything. We had a blast. I'm being a little and complaining, and why would you? It's so stupid. Why wouldn't you move this inside? Why wouldn't you have a B plan? We had a blast. We're all huddling together. The guy who gave the I don't know if it was the preacher or the priest or whoever it was, he was terrific. He was having fun with it. We all had fun. I felt bad because the bridesmaids were freezing, but they had these little hand warmers. They all, unbeknownst to us, they all wore pants underneath their dresses. In their pockets. They all had the hand warmers, but we had a blast. So yeah, I was totally off the board on that. And real quick, in the hole, I've been saying this for a long time. I wish we had more time to talk about this, but we only have a minute. I've always thought that, and you and I are kind of snobs when it comes to football. We don't really like B-class football, right? It's been tough for us to watch the USFL, the XFL. It's just not the same. We're snobs. We like college football at a high level. We like the NFL at a high level. I have thought for years the only thing that could compete with the NFL during the spring is something completely different, but yet similar: rugby. And look who just got a rugby team, Charlotte. I don't know if you read this story, but they're going to be competing in the World Federation of Rugby or whatever it is. It's coming to the United States, and I'm telling you, at some point, it's going to be rugby. It's not going to be at the same level, but it's going to be. It's not. We're going to watch it because it's physical.
It's very physical.
I mean, it's barbaric. We love watching that kind of stuff on TV, but it's not the NFL, so our expectations will be much lower. I'm telling you, we're going to love it. Just trust me on this. So rugby in the hole, and now Charlotte has got a team coming.
Wow.
All right, that's
rugby in the hole. Huh.
All right, we got 10 seconds.
All right, yeah. We'll talk about that some other time.
All right, dude. Have a good week. Thank you again so much, everybody, for watching. Buddy. Appreciate all of you. Appreciate all your support. And all right, dude. Appreciate you. I'll talk to you later.
See you.
All right. Bye, everybody.